Here are the solutions for the review. As always, you should try it first. Or if you need support, do that, but then try it independently and then check to see if you did it right. So can you factor these? So these are basic trinomials. So the last number goes on top, the middle number goes in the bottom, and then you have to know your times tables, right? Two numbers that multiply to 60, and I can make 4. So those two numbers are 10 times 6. In order to make -4, the bigger number needs to be negative and the smaller number needs to be positive, and then it fits. And the two factors are x minus 10 and x plus 6. Number 2, do you want to try it? Two numbers that multiply to 48 and the same numbers add to 14. So do you know your times tables? It's 8 times 6 and they add up to 14, and those are the two numbers that factor it. Again, press pause and try it. Did you set it up correctly? What are the numbers that make 18 and -11? So those two numbers are -9 and -2. Signs matter. They both need to be negative because a negative times a negative is positive and adds up to -11. Keep going, keep pausing, and trying your best. Two numbers that multiply to 81 and add to 18. Notice we have two ways we could write this, and they both are correct. So we could also write it, because they repeat, as x plus 9 squared. Keep going. Two numbers that multiply to 42 add to -13. So the two numbers that multiply to 42 and add to -13, know your times tables. Number 6, -18 and 7, can you make it work? So it's 9 and -2. Press pause, try number 7, keep going down. The two numbers are 5 and 4. -40 and -6. Again, this is 10 and 4. Again, because 6 is negative. Did we do that one right? No. We did 60. All right, I see it. So -10 and 4. All right, these become a little more fun. So notice the first number is not 1. So we take the first number times the last number and get -60. And then -7 underneath. And then we need to figure this out. So it's not going to be 10 times 6. So I'll give you the first number. 12 times what is 60? Can you think of the next number? And because 7 is negative, the bigger number is negative and the smaller number is positive. So I'm going to write -12 and +5. Then I'm going to divide. And so I divide by that first number. So I'm going to divide both numbers by 3. So 12 divided by 3. Now 5 divided by 3. It must be in lowest terms. It is. And then you take the 3 and you slide it in front. That's 3x plus 5. And you factored it. That's now what we're practicing. Let's try number 10. Do you need my support? That's fine. 3 times 10 and -11. So the two numbers that fit are -6 and -5. Then I go -6 and -5. Then I divide by 3. Now 6 divided by 3 is 2. 5 divided by 3 is in least terms. I can't reduce it down. So the 3 slides in front and becomes 3x minus 5. Turn the page. All right, so 7 times -4, and then find the numbers that match. Press pause and try it, then press play. So the two numbers are -7 and +4. Then you divide. So press pause, and can you divide? And then make it work. So 7 divided by 7, the 7 slides in front, and you have your two factors. All right, it's time for you to try. Number 12, press pause, see if the same numbers, if it matches. So I write down +5 and -3, divide by 5. That gives me x plus 1 and 5x subtract 3. Again, negative 28 and 3, just keep practicing. So your times tables are solid. You know them. Divide by 7. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. Slide the 7 in front and you have your factors. Again, 5 times 2. What two numbers fit here? Those are obvious, right? And then divide by 5. So I get plus 1 and then slide that 5 in front and it's 5x plus 2. Press pause. We're practicing. It's the only way, right? There's no wizardry here. It's the work you put into it. So negative 7 and 6. Divide by 7. So we have 1 and then 7 in front. Keep going, press pause and try. If you've tried them all, then just keep press and play and see if it matches the work that you did. 12 and 1. Divide by 2. So 12 divided by 2 is 6, and then slide the 2 in front. Keep practicing. 4 times negative 12 and 13. What are the numbers? Let's see, I'm thinking twice 2. What are the numbers that multiply here? So I think it's 16 times 3. That fits. That took me just a moment, but we got there. Divide by 4. So that's 16 divided by 4. 3/4. Slide the 4 in front. And it's done. 4 times negative 2 and negative 7. So we have negative 8 and 1. Divide by 4. So we have 8 divided by 4. And then 1 over 4, 4 slides in front. Negative 20 and 8. That's going to be 10 and 2. And 2 needs to be negative and 10 is positive for it to fit. Then divide by 4. Now for this one, we have to reduce it down. So for this one, 10 over 4, what number goes into 10 and 4? So divide it by 2. That's 5 over 2. 2 over 4, divide by 2, and it's 1/2. Then slide. Four times 20 is 80 and negative 21. That's negative 16 and negative 5. That multiply to 80 and add to negative 21. A little bit tricky. Divide by 4. And 16 divided by 4, and then slide the 4 in front. There's nothing to divide to reduce it down, so that's why I didn't have that extra step. 21. 4, we just did this right. No, 4 times 15 is 60, so it's negative 60 and negative 4. Can you press pause and see if you can find the numbers that fit. So it's negative 10 and 6. Divide by 4. This is 1. Again, we have to reduce it down. So what number goes into 10 and 4? Divide by 2. What number goes into 6 and 4? Divide by 2. Then slide in front. So that's 2x minus 5. That's 2x plus 3. I think this is the last one like this. 4 times negative 2 and 7. Find the numbers that match. That's positive 8 and negative 1. Divide by 4. And you get x plus 2 and 4x minus 1. Turn the page. We're going to continue to factor. This is by grouping, so let's do the first one together. So you look at the first two. They both have an x squared in common. When you factor out an x squared, you're left with x plus 3. Look at the last two. They have nothing in common. So the only number they have in common is 1. But that's important, because they share the factor x plus 3, and then what's in front of each factor is the second one. Let's do that again here. What do they have in common? 2 and x squared divide. the last three, again it's 3, divide. These have to match. If they don't match, we didn't do it correctly. So the one that matches, you write down once, and then what's in front of each factor, you write down, and it's over. Again, the first two. Again, if I don't see anything, it's 1. And then the one that is shared, and then what's in front of each one. Press pause and try it. So it's 2 and x squared divide. Here again, -1, because they have to match. The signs have to match too. So -1 is important. So one factor is 3x minus 1, and the other is 2x minus 1. Two more. Press pause, see if it works. Factor out to 2 and an x squared. That gives you 2x minus 3. Factor out to -1. Again, it's 2x minus 3. So we have 2x minus 3 and 2x squared minus 1. All right, last one like this. Give it a shot. Factor out to 3x squared, divide. Factor out to -1, divide. And then the factor they share. And what's in front of each factor, there it is. All right, we're going to solve equations now. So this is a linear equation because the degree is 1. So we're going to distribute. So 4 times 1 and 4 times 3. So that's 12. Then I'm going to subtract 4. Then I'm going to divide by 12. So 48 divided by 12, and the answer is negative. There's your answer. All right, let's try this again. Let's distribute. We have 2, 3 times -4, 3 times -3. Then I'm going to combine like terms. So 2 take away 12. We have 10 more negatives. Add 10. And then divide by -9. So negative divided by negative, the answer is positive 4. All right, try 31. Might be a little bit easier. I want to combine like terms. I'm going to subtract 7x. 3 take away 7 is -4. I'm going to add 7. I need to do opposite numbers. 13 plus 7, that's 20. Divide by -4 and you have your answer. So the answer is -5. I'm going to subtract 2x to bring the x's together. 3 take away 2 is 1x. I'm going to subtract 3. 8 take away 3 is 5. And x is by itself, and you have your answer. A lot of distributing here. So 3 times 1, 3 times 7. 8 times 1, 8 times 3. Then combine like terms on the side they are. So 8 and 21, this, do what it says. Now we need to bring them together. So I have 29x and 24x. Take the smaller number, do the opposite sign. So we're going to subtract 24x. So 29, take away 24, that's 5. Subtract 3. 8 take away 3 is 5, then divide by 5 and you have your answer. So the answer is x equals 1. I think it's the last one like this. -3 times 1, -3 times 8. The 3x is not in the parentheses. Again, 2 times x and 2 times 8. -4x is not in the parentheses. Then combine like terms. So -24 plus 3, how many more negatives do I have? 2 subtract 4, how many more negatives do I have? And then bring this together. So I'm going to add 2x. That's 19. I'm going to add 3. 19. Wait a second. -21x plus 2. That's -19. That's positive. Divide by -19 and you get the answer -1. Awesome. Turn the page. Can you solve a quadratic equation? So the key for a quadratic equation is it must be equal to 0, and then we're going to factor it. So in 35 it is equal to 0, so just factor it. So we have 30 and 11. So the two numbers that multiply to 30 and add to 11 are 6 and 5. We know this from graphing. This is the same question as asking what the zeros are. So what's the 0 from the first one? What's the opposite number? What's the 0? What's the opposite number? And you have your answer. All right, 36. Negative 32 and 4. Press pause and try. And then once you have the factors and solutions are opposite numbers. So negative 8 and positive 4. Number 37, equal to 0. 16 and 10, factor it. Opposite, negative 8, negative 2. Again, 48 and negative 14. Press pause, try. What are the two numbers? And then it's the opposite that makes it 0. $39, it's not equal to 0. So step 1 is to subtract 4. Then you can factor it. So the two numbers that multiply to 16 and add to 10, so that's positive 8, positive 2. The solutions are the opposite numbers to that make it 0. Number 40, not equal to 0. Subtract 8. 15 take away 8 is 7. So we have 7 and negative 8. So the two numbers are negative 1 and negative 7 that multiply to 7 to add to negative 8. Then the opposite numbers are your solutions. That's positive 1 and positive 7. Add 5. So we have 12 and 8. Two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 8 are 6 and 2. The opposite numbers are your solutions, negative 6 and negative 2. Okay, it has to be 0, so add 4. So the two numbers that multiply to negative 16 and add to negative 6, negative 8 and 2. The opposite numbers make 0. 43, not equal to 0, add 8. Let me show you what we can do here. That makes it 0. If you wanted to, you could do this. 7 times 0 and negative 6, so the two numbers are 0 and negative 6. So 0 times negative 6 is 0, and 0 and negative 6 are negative 6. So we have one that's x minus 0, and the other one is x minus 6, and then divide by 7, and you get your two answers. So one answer is 0, because 0 divided by 7 is 0. The other answer is right here, positive 6 over 7. That's kind of a nifty way, right, to be able to do something like that. It works. 44, add 2. Has to be equal to 0. That's 4. So 7 times 4 and negative 16, find the two numbers that fit. What are they? 4, 28. 7 times 4 is not going to work. 14 and 2, I bet you that will work. So negative 14 and negative 2. Took a moment. That's okay. Got there. Divide by 7. So what is 14 divided by 7? And it's the opposite, so it's positive 2. 2 divided by 7, the opposite number for the fraction. Notice I don't want to do any sliding when I solve an equation. So that's positive 2 over 7. Right, turn the page. Let's do some graphing. 45 is a line. And the first number with x is called the slope. I'm going to make sure that negative 7 belongs on top. It could also go on the bottom. and the y-intercept is -5. So that means I start at -5. This is where I start, and then I go down. Now I can't go down, so instead I'm going to make -5 on the bottom and make the 7 positive on top, same line. So I changed the sign so it fit. So I'm going to go up 7 and to the left 5. And then draw my line. Let's try that again. The slope is with x, and we need a top number and the bottom number. The y-intercept is 1, and that's just where I start. So I find 1, and then I go up 5 and to the right 1, which I can, fits on my graph, and then draw my line. All right, 47 is different. I need to get y by itself. So instead of positive x, on the other side will be negative x. Instead of multiplying, I'm going to divide everything by 2. Now, when I do that, I need a top number and a bottom number for x, and then 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I know I'm going to start at 3, and then I know the direction is down 1 and to the right 2. To get y by itself, positive x, it becomes negative x on the other side. Now, nothing to divide by, it's ready to go. So start at positive 1. The number with x that you don't see is -1 over 1, so it goes down 1 and to the right 1. (49) like the same one. Whatever. Instead of positive x, subtract, it becomes negative x. So again, I'm going to start at -1, and then the number you don't see in front of x, you need a top number and bottom number, is -1 over 1. Go down 1 and to the right 1. Almost the same line. Number 50, instead of positive x, it becomes negative x. Divide by -2. And then simplify it. So a negative divided by a negative is going to be positive 1 over 2. A negative divided by a negative is positive 3. So I start at 3, and then I go up 1 over 2. And there's your line. Turn the page. Can you graph parabolas? So how do I know this is a parabola? Is this exponent 2 is the indicator? Makes it different than a line. X squared, that's the degree, 2. So the vertex is the most important point. Inside the parentheses, it's the opposite number. Outside, it is what it says. So start here, and at 0, 0, go 3 to the right and 4 down. Put down a point. The second number I need is the number in front of the parentheses. That is the rate of change to find your next 2 points. That's 1. We need a top number and a bottom number. This tells me I'm going to go up 1 and to the right 1 and left 1. So from here, be careful of the scale. Up 1 is here, to the right 1 and left 1, and then draw your parabola. Let's try that again. So the vertex, the opposite number and the same number. Find that on your graph. 2 to the right, 3 down. A is the number in front of the parentheses. I need a top number and bottom number. This is telling me to go down 2 and to the right and to the left 1. And then draw your parabola. 53. The vertex, positive 2 and -4. The A that you don't see is -1, and I need a top number and a bottom number. So I start here at 0, 0, go 2 to the right and 4 down. And this tells me go 1 down and then to the right, 1 down and to the left 1, and then draw your parabola. You want to try one? So it's -4 and +3, and A is +1. So I go -4 and 3. And then it's up 1 to the right, up 1 to the left. And there we go. So the opposite number and the same number, and then A, the rate of change, is 3. I need a 1 on the bottom, so I'm going to go -2, -4. And then I'm going to go up 3 and to the right, and up 3 and to the left, and then draw my parabola. Alright, last one like this. Try it. Press pause, maybe, not, whatever you want to do. 4, 2, 4 to the right, 2 up. The rate of change is -2, and a 1, so go down 2 to the right 1, to the left 1, and then draw your parabola. Alright, turn the page. Some polynomial work. So can you tell me the degree? So the biggest exponent is 3. Can you classify it? I'm going to do the last one here, classification. 3 means it's a cubic. Can you tell me the power term? It's 10x cubed, which means it's positive with an odd exponent. And then can you tell me the end behavior? So as x approaches infinity, f at x approaches infinity. As x approaches negative infinity, f at x approaches negative infinity. So you might want to look at your notes with your infinity statements and whether you can take the power term and match and write it down. Alright, the degree here is 2. The classification here is a quadratic when the degree is 2. The power term is negative 9x squared, so it's negative with an even exponent, which means the right end goes down and the left end goes up. No, both go down. Just kidding. So both ends go down. Expand it here. Okay, 59. The degree, I don't see an exponent, so the degree is 1. And you would classify this as a linear. The power term is the first term, negative x. That's it. That means it's negative with an odd exponent. So the right end goes down and the left end goes up. Y equals -1. That has a 0 degree. What we call that is a constant. Now this one's a little bit trickier. The power term is just a number, -1. This one is negative with no degree, so it has no end behavior. Well, it really does. We could say the end behavior is the number itself is the end behavior. So this is the one polynomial. I'll write it down. It's the one that's a little different. So the right and left end behavior go to 1, -1. Tricky, right? All right, don't be worried about this one. Number 61, we got through it. All right, let's do this one. Fresh minds. The degree is 3. What name do we call it? What's the power term? What do we know about the power term? And then what's the end behavior? All right, one more like this. So the right end goes down, left end up. All right, what's the degree? It's 2. What do we call it? A quadratic. The power term is positive 3x squared, which is positive with an even exponent, so both ends go up. You did it. All right, some adding and subtracting. So I'm going to find the term with the biggest exponent, which is 4, and circle it. Find the other one that matches it, and then we have -6 plus 2. So I have 4 more negatives, and I write it down. You could cross it out. The next one is n cubed. So -2 plus 8, we have 6 more positive. You cross it out. Next one is just the number, 5 and negative 2. So 5 take away 3, and you have your answer. Some more adding. Find the one with the biggest exponent and the one that matches it and combine them together. 5 take away 7. The next one and the next one with the biggest exponent. So 5 plus 7. And then 5 and plus 2. That's 7. Done. Subtracting. A little trickier. Sometimes when I subtract, I copy the first parentheses and then I distribute the negative so I don't make a mistake. So a negative times a negative is plus, a negative times a positive is negative, and then it's easier to not make a mistake. So the one with the biggest exponent is this, negative 6x to the fourth. Here's another negative 6x. So a negative negative is negative 12x to the fourth. Next one is x to the 3, so positive 2 and negative 4. Together that's negative 2. And then positive 2 and another positive 2, and that's positive 4. So you don't make a mistake with the signs. Let's try that again. So I'm going to copy the first parentheses. I'm going to distribute the negative. So it's negative 5, a negative times a negative, and a negative times a negative. I'm going to go to the biggest exponent, positive x squared, positive 6, so that's 1 plus 6, that's 7. Then positive 6x, positive 8, add them together, that's 14. Positive 6 and negative 5, 6 take away 5 is 1, and you have your answer. Turn the page. Now we're going to do some multiplying. So for these I like to draw a box and distribute. Have this area model, that's 2x plus 2 and 2x plus 7, and then I multiply it out. So fill in each one, and then the answer is 4x squared. 14 plus 4 is 18, and then positive 14. I'm going to do the same thing here. So we're going to multiply this. Then I'm going to combine like terms. So we have 15x squared, negative 40 and negative 6. That's negative 46 and then plus 16. You're going to try one right. Again, I'm going to draw this out. That's 7x and positive 4, 6x and negative 3. Multiply it. And then combine like terms. So 24 take away 21, and then negative 12. And you're going to be ready for this exam, right? All right. Set this up. 6 times 2, r squared, negative 24r, 4r, and then negative 8. So this is 12r squared minus 20r. So negative 24 and 4, it's negative 20, and then minus 8. 71 I have 5a minus 5, and I have 3a squared, 3a and 1. So that's 5 times 3, and add the exponents. 5 times 3, add the exponents. 5a times 1, negative 5 times 3 with an a squared, negative 5 times 3 with an a, and negative 5 times 1. Then we have 15a cubed. 15, take away 15. We don't do it. It's eliminated. 0. Negative 15 and 5, together it's negative 10, and then negative 5, and you have your answer. Let's try this again. So we have 3m plus 5, and we have 4m squared minus 2m plus 4, and then we're going to multiply it out. 3 times 4 and add the exponents. 3 times negative 2, add the exponents. 3 times 4. 5 times 4. 5 times negative 2. 5 times 4. And then we have 12m cubed. So 12 take away 6. Negative 10 plus 12. And then 20. All right, 73. Write it out. Just double checking I'm writing it correctly. So 5 times 5, and then add the exponents. 5 times negative 7. Add the exponents. 8 times 5. 5 times 3. 3 times negative 7. 3 times 8. 6 times 5. 6 times negative 7. And 6 times 8. And all together I get 25x to the fourth. Negative 35 plus 15, that's negative 20. 30 and 40, 71. Take away 70, take away 20, take away 1, that's 49. And then x's, that's negative, what is that? So 24, 6, and 12, 18, right? So negative 18. And then plus 48. Last one like this. So we have 3x squared minus 7x and 5, 2x squared, 6x and 2. So multiply it, that's 6x to the fourth, negative 14x to the 3, 10x squared, 18 x to the 3, negative 42 x squared, 30x, 6x squared, negative 14x, 10. Alright, so 6x to the fourth, that's 18 and negative 14, that's plus 4. Here we have 16 and 42, so 4, 6, 26. See if that's right. I think it is. 30 take away is 16, and then 10. Whoop, that's a 10. All right, we're almost there. Last 2 pages is graphing. I love it. We're not even at an hour. Just 37, 38 minutes of beautiful math. Here we go. How do I graph this? So x squared, the 0 is 0. It has an even multiplicity, which means it's going to bounce. The next one's negative 2. It has an odd multiplicity. The exponent's odd, so it means it's going to cross. There we go. So I'll put those on the graph, 0 and negative 2. The end behavior is the leading term, x squared times x. So it's positive and odd, which means the right end goes up and the left end goes down. So this goes up, this goes down. The y-intercept is when you plug in 0. That's going to be 0 on the graph. The last thing you need to do is find the missing x value in the middle, which is at negative 1. So I'll do that up here. So at negative 1 we have negative 1 and negative 1 plus 2. So negative 1 times negative 1, negative 1 plus 2. So together that's 1. And the full path is complete. So we have a maximum turning point at negative 1, 1. And we have a minimum here, low minimum at 0, 0. And notice it bounces at 0 and it crosses over at negative 2. Next one. The zeros are at positive 1, even, it's going to bounce. Negative 1, odd, it's going to cross. Positive 3, odd, it's going to cross. So I'll put those on my graph, 1, negative 1, and 3. The leading term, the power term is x squared times x times x. Altogether it's x to the fourth. When you multiply it out, it's positive and even, which means both ends go up. So the very right one goes up and the left one, very right, goes up. Now I got to fill in the middle part. So I have 0, that's the y-intercept. So if I go 0, subtract 1, and 0 plus 1, and 0, subtract 3, I get negative 1 squared. I get 1 and negative 3. So negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. So if I multiply across, it's negative 3. So now I know this path. Last one I need to figure out is at positive 2. I'm going to do that up here. So that's 2, take away 1, 2 plus 1, 2, take away 3. So that's 1 squared, that's 3, and negative 1. So altogether that answer is negative 3. Some symmetry here. So we have a maximum right here at 1, 0, bounces. We have a minimum here at 0, negative 3, and another one at 0, at 2, and negative 3. Next one. So we have a 0 at positive 1, it's odd, means it's going to cross. At negative 1, it's odd, it's going to cross. At negative 3, it's odd, it's going to cross. The exponents are all odd, so I'm going to put those on my graph. So 1, negative 1, and negative 3. The end behavior, x times x times x, the power term's x cubed, which means it's positive with an odd exponent. The right end goes up, and the left end goes down. So I go the right end goes up, and the left end goes down. The intercept, 0. That's negative 1 times 1 times 3. That's negative 3. So now I know this part of the path. Getting there. So the last number I need to plug in here is at negative 2. So we have negative 3, we have negative 1, and we have positive 1. So if we multiply together, it's 3. So we're going to go to negative 2 and 3. Perfect. We found the whole path. So the maximum's here at negative 2 and 3. The minimum is down here at 0 and negative 3. That's it. Turn the page. We got this. All right, x, that's 0, has an odd exponent. It's going to cross. The next one's positive 2. It has an odd exponent. It's going to cross. If I go x times x, that's x squared. The end behavior, that's positive and even. So as x approaches there, that goes up. As x goes left, it's going up. So we got 0 and we got 2. Okay, what's in the middle to find the value of is 1. So that's 1 times negative 1, which is negative 1. And we know the ends go up and it turns there, and that's it. It's a parabola, right? So we have no maximums, and we have one minimum there at 1 and negative 1. And our y-intercept's at 0. Keep going. Almost there. 2 left. You so can do this. So positive 1, it has an even exponent, so it's going to bounce. Next one's negative 1, it has an even exponent, is going to bounce. And positive 3, it has an odd exponent, is going to cross on a graph. So 1, negative 1, and 3. Now the end behavior. So x squared, x, add across, and it's x to the 5. It's positive and odd. So the right end goes up. The left goes down. So this one goes up. This one goes down. Now we've got to fill in. So the y-intercept is at 0. So if I plug in 0 and solve it, that gives me the y-intercept. So negative 1 squared, positive 1 squared, that's just 1, times negative 3. So the answer is negative 3. All right, so I know this part of the path. The last number I need to try is 2. So I'm going to plug 2 in. So 2 take away 1. 2 plus 1, 2 take away 3. So that gives me 1 squared times 3 squared times negative 1. So that is 1 times 9 times negative 1. So that gives me negative 9. So at 2 is negative 9. So we're going to complete the path. And there it is. So we have a maximum here at negative 1 and 0. We also have a maximum here at positive 1 and 0. We have a minimum at 0, negative 3, and another minimum at 2 and negative 9. We're there. Last one. Here we go. 0, so x. So the 0 is 0. The multiplicity is odd. It's going to cross. Positive 2, it's odd. It's going to cross. Negative 2, it's odd. It's going to cross. It goes x times x times x. That's x cubed. And the end behavior. So the right end goes up and the left end goes down. And the y-intercept. So let's put that on the graph. So 0, 2, and negative 2. So this goes up, this goes down. 0 is a 0, it's already there. So the y-intercept is 0. So I need to find a turn. So negative 1 I need to do. I'll do that down here. So negative 1, take away 2, negative 1 plus 2. So that's negative 1. Negative 1 and negative 2 is negative 3. Negative 1 plus 2 is positive. So when I multiply it together, I get positive 3. Next is positive 1. I'm going to do that here. That's 1 and negative 1, and 1 plus 2 is 3. So that's negative 3. Got it. Now the pathway is done. So we have a max right here at negative 1 and 3. And we have a minimum here. Sorry, it's positive 1 and 3. Negative 3. I gotta get straight. Hey, we did it to the end and back. Mr. G Math over and out. I'm proud of you, and I want you to do so good on this exam. So I'm glad that you got through to the end. Study, believe in yourself. I believe in you. We're going to be okay. Over and out.